Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Dr. Shahbaz S here. So in this video we are going to perform a MANOVA test in SPSS. We have a dataset of 60 students. We have one group variable as independent variable teaching method and three independent variable exam score, critical thinking and satisfaction. So we coded independent variable teaching method into three categories. First one is traditional learning method, 2 equal to blended method, and third one online method. So we will check the impact of independent variable teaching method on three dependent variables. So in case of this, we will do MANOVA test in SPSS. So before doing and performing the analysis, we need to check the assumption of MANOVA so that we come to our PowerPoint presentation and we see what are the assumption and research question according to our dataset. So as per our dataset, we set the research question: does teaching method traditional, blended or online significantly affect exam score, critical thinking and satisfaction? Our independent variable is teaching method, including traditional, blended and online teaching method. And DV's dependent variables are exam score, critical thinking and satisfaction. So next, why MANOVA? Instead of conducting three separate ANOVA tests, MANOVA analyzes multiple dependent variables simultaneously while controlling type 1 error. So data set, as I told you, we have 60 sample size about students and we are going to test MANOVA. And before testing the MANOVA, we check the assumption 1. Independent observations ensure participants belong to only one group. On the other hand, we see the assumption 2, multivariate normality. We check QQ plots, Q-ness kurtosis, a Shapiro-Wilk test before conducting the MANOVA test in SPSS. So if you want to see the normality test, you can refer my previous videos on QQ plots, Q-ness kurtosis and Shapiro-Wilk test to check the normality of the data. So assumption 3 is there should be no multicollinearity among the variables and the correlation should be less than 0.9. Tolerance level should be higher than 0.10 and variance inflation factor should be less than 10. Some cases show that VIF value should be lower than 5, but this is a good, so we can consider it VIF value should be lower than 10. Okay, so we see the assumption 4, homogeneity of covariance. Box M test, the p value should be greater than 0.001. So in this case, we can see it meet the criteria of MANOVA test. Okay, we also meet the assumption 5, homogeneity of variance. Levene test, p value should be greater than 0.05. So threshold summary, just want to explain the test value should be significant because it should be lower than 0.05. And partial variance as considered 0.01 is small, 0.06 medium and 0.14 large. According to Wilks Lambda, smaller value equal to stronger effect. Now we will go to SPSS file to perform the MANOVA test. Okay, so we come back to our SPSS file. Then we will click on Analyze and then General Linear Model, Multivariate, and we put all dependent variables under dependent variable set 1, 2 and 3. These were our dependent variables. So our independent variable is teaching method, so we put here. Now we click on plots, so we don't need it. We need post hoc, so we put a post hoc test for teaching method and we will apply Take post hoc test. Because why? Because our group sample size for each category is equal. Like we have 20 sample for traditional learning, 20 sample size for blended learning, and 20 sample size for online learning. So that is why we use Take post hoc test. Our these grouping were not equal, then we will use Sheffy test. Now we'll click on continue, and then we go to option. We need the mean score for teaching method, and we also need descriptive statistics, estimates of effect size, observed power, homogeneity test. Then we click on continue and then click on OK. So you will get the results. So as we coded the data, teaching method 1 equal to traditional, 2 equal to blended, and 3 equal to online. So we come to descriptive statistics. We can see here in critical thinking there is a high mean for blended learning method, and in case of exam score we can found that there is a high mean score for blended learning, and as well we can see that there is a high mean score of blended learning in case of satisfaction. Okay, so the next table is box test of equality of covariance matrix. So we can found that box M value is 8.704 with F statistic is 0.670, but the significant level is 0.782. It means the p value is greater than 0.05 and 0.001. So it means the test the null hypothesis that the observed covariance matrix of the dependent variables are equal across groups. So it means we accept the null hypothesis, and this shows that the matrix of the dependent variable variance are equal across groups, as we have already discussed in assumption number 4. So box M test should be p value should be greater than 0.01. So you can see here our p value is greater than 0.001. So it means null hypothesis accepted. So the observed covariance matrix of the dependent variables are equal across groups. So we can proceed with other analysis. Okay. Now we come to the multivariate test, and we can find here the teaching method with Pillai trace and Wilks Lambda. Value is 0.8295 for Pillai trace and 0.173 for Wilks Lambda. And you can see the value is significant in case of Pillai trace and as well in case of Wilks Lambda, because the value of p is less than 0.05. So we can say there is a strong and good impact of teaching method on exam score and satisfaction. And the third one is we just need to confirm critical thinking. Okay, so we go for other table. Levene test of equality of error variances, and we can find that there is F statistics 0.831 for critical thinking, 0.690 for exam score, and 4.313 for satisfaction. And in case of you can see that Levene test of equality of error variances, critical thinking the value is p value is 0.441, which is higher than 0.05. And you can see the assumption number 5. The p value should be greater than 0.05. So here is the value of critical thinking is greater than 0.05. Also the value of exam score is greater than 0.05, but the value of satisfaction is lower than 0.05. So in case of two critical thinking and exam score, we accept the null hypothesis that the error variance of the dependent variable equal across groups. However, in case of satisfaction, the variance is not equal. Okay, so we come to the next table, test of between subjects effects. Okay, this table will tell us what is the impact of a specific variable on three dependent variables. So we see that there is a corrected model, there is intercept, and there is teaching model. So we will prefer here, because our independent variable is teaching method, so we will say that the impact of teaching method on critical thinking is significant, with the variance explained by 59.5%. So we simply say that teaching method explained 0.595, it means 59.5% of variance in critical thinking, and the impact is significant. On the other hand, the impact of teaching method on exam score is also significant, because the value of P is less than 0.05. And we will also say the teaching method explained 45.2% of total variance in exam score. On third variable, if we see, the impact of teaching method on satisfaction is also significant, because the P value is less than 0.05. So it means teaching method explained 69% of variance in satisfaction. So we all accepted the hypothesis that teaching methods significantly impact critical thinking, exam scores, and satisfaction. Okay, so now we can also see here, because we have already described the R-square variance explained by teaching method to critical thinking, satisfaction, and exam score. So these are the same values we have interpreted above. Okay, so next one is estimated marginal means. You can see critical thinking in case of traditional, blended, and online. So these are the mean values we have already discussed in first table. Okay, so this is a post hoc test we applied for teaching method, and we applied the post hoc test because our sample for each group was equal. So you can see here there is a significant difference of critical thinking with traditional learning method to blended learning method. You can see significant level. As well, significant between blended and traditional, also significant, and between online and traditional blended, also significant. On the other hand, we can see there is a significant difference of exam score between traditional to blended online method, also significant. In case of blended to traditional online method is also significant, because the P value is less than 0.05. In each case, you can see the hypotheses are accepted. Okay, so now we discuss the next table, homogeneous subset. So you can see there is a homogeneous set. Each category has 20 sample size according to Take post hoc test. Okay, so we come to exam score. The same condition 20. We meet the homogeneity of the variance. So in this way, we perform the MANOVA test in SPSS. If you find my video helpful, so please subscribe to my channel and click on notification button so you can get my next video easily.